Did you know the oldest church in Indiana in its original location, on its original foundation, is right here in Franklin County? Well, it is. For Franklin County Tourism, I'm Rick Garrett, and we're going to take a look at the Little Cedar Grove Baptist Church today. In 1797, a group of primitive Baptists left Virginia, stopped in Kentucky, and made their way to Franklin County, Indiana, drawn by the beauty of the area, drawn by the Whitewater River. And if you spent much time in the hills of Virginia and Kentucky, you will know that Franklin County, Indiana looks just like that. They started a body of primitive Baptists meeting in churches in the late 1700s, and that was common for churches in those days. But in 1811, a historic event occurred, the New Madrid earthquake. Huge earthquake felt all across the central part of the United States, changed the course of the Mississippi River, and the primitive Baptists thought this was a sign of the rapture. They also thought it was a sign that they needed to have a permanent building. Construction was started on the Little Cedar Grove Baptist Church that you see behind me, and it still stands today on its original foundation in its original location. So here is the Little Cedar Grove Baptist Church, standing at this location since 1812. You'll see the four windows, you'll see the side entrance, and you'll see 4 or 5 openings along the top. Do you know what those are? Those are gun ports. It was very perilous times in rural Franklin County, what would be Franklin County, and the gun ports were where gunmen could be for protection. As you can see, some restoration is in process here at the Little Cedar Grove Baptist Church. Down here is where the furnace was. Probably a coal-fired furnace. A bit of a rarity for a church of this age, it actually has a balcony. Here is the raised pulpit where the pastor would preach. Primitive Baptists typically did not have pastors, they had elders that fulfilled that position. As I said, it's a bit of a rarity for a church this age to have a balcony. Let's go up. And it shows just what a thriving community this was at one time. Looking down on the main worship area from the balcony, you can see the raised pulpit there. If you can hear my voice, churches, of course, in the 1800s didn't have PA systems, so they were designed so that voices carried, and they're nearly acoustically perfect. This is the view from the raised pulpit, and as you can see, the preacher could see the entire congregation when he was preaching. As was with most churches in the 1800s, there was a graveyard accompanying this church. By the way, do you know the difference between a cemetery and a graveyard? Well, a cemetery is standalone, but a graveyard is attached to a church. There's not a lot left of the graveyard these days, but I understand that a seminary in Cincinnati has gathered some of the old tombstones and is in the process of restoring those. To the best of our knowledge, this is where the graveyard was. And I'm sure that there will be some research done on this as restoration attempts appear to be continuing. Little Cedar Grove Baptist Church, just one of the fantastic historic sites in Franklin County, Indiana. It's about 6 miles south-southeast of Brookville on US Highway 52. If you get a chance, it's well worth to come and visit.